I mean, for me, this is really important. This is getting to the heart of what action learning is about. It is not just a technique. I think it's a philosophy, a mindset, and very much behind that is the idea of everybody having a voice. So if you're running an action learning set meeting, everybody should have airtime and the opportunity to speak and address their own challenges with the help of others. As you say, Louise, as equals. So there's a kind of democratic theme behind this.
Absolutely.
Well, when you think about educational setups, for example, from my perspective, it's very much the lecturer who's the expert in the room, who will speak to a PowerPoint presentation and impart knowledge to the people in the room. And they've all got their own backgrounds, they've all got their own things going on, etc. But that tends to be the model. Then obviously you've got the seminars where people will sit in groups and interact with each other. But to actually put a mechanism in that sort of creates that level playing field, but also starts to build community, I've also found has a huge impact on creating a sense of belonging in the students as well. So the things that we've done in my campus is very much around communities of practice, and I know that you are very familiar and have expertise around that. That's what I'm feeling like, communities of practice. And what we found is the more that we instill that kind of methodology, the more we'll then be able to create a sense of belonging for our students and staff, bearing in mind that we have students and staff from all over the world, so they come with lots of different cultural differences. And yet we create that community feel by instilling that. And it'd be great to hear from you, Richard, in terms of your knowledge around communities of practice and the synergies between that and action learning.
Sure. So fascinating. And what you're doing with the campus is clearly, it's enlightened, I would say, in terms of the approach to providing access to higher education in a very inclusive way. So for me, action learning is it's about creating, a form of communities of practice. I mean, the concept for me that I really liked from some of the original works by Wenger on communities of practice, what I took from it is that often learning really happens socially. And it often happens informally through informal discussion. And of course that's counter to the classic sort of mindset about what higher education is and the traditional methods of teaching which you mentioned, where it's assumed that knowledge is held by the university, is held by the faculty or by the professor, and they have to impart that knowledge. So for me, action learning is about recognising learning takes place in different ways, particularly when you're facing into the unknown. And you can't go to a book or established bodies of knowledge. You have to go to questions and to other people to get discussion, so you can form a community or you can form an action learning set. So the fundamental question for me is, what is your mindset around what is learning and where does it actually take place? Because I think the lecture theatre is just one place, and there are other places, particularly with the work that I'm doing in organisations, whether they're government organisations or commercial organisations or communities, whereby we're trying to solve problems that we've not kind of faced before, and they're multifaceted, they're complex. So we've got to get together round the table, usually in a circle, and ask good questions of each other.